remember? For me, that was the death of Ricky Tidwell. I went to school with Ricky Tidwell. Ricky and I were firefighters. No. I can't hear you in the back. Oh. Well, tell him to move forward. Okay. Ricky and I went to school together. We were firefighters together with the Waxahachie Fire Department. And then Ricky was killed at the Waxahachie glass fire and a building collapse. I remember every detail about that night. The looks on everyone's face that was there. Every detail. Do you remember? Those are kind of personal memories shared with a few people. And then we have memories that are shared with the nation, even the world. The first one that I experienced was the death of John F. Kennedy. I remember exactly where I was at and what I was doing when that happened. I was in high school in English class, and the teacher was Miss Wakeland. And I can remember the tears in her eyes as she told me about that. Do you remember? Well, maybe for you it was the death of Martin Luther King, or maybe the crash of the space shuttle. But for all of us, the most recent is probably 9/11. And on that day, over 3,000 people were killed. And that's especially a tough day for firefighters, because 343 firefighters were killed that day. While others were trying to get away from that disaster, even as the towers collapsed, there were firefighters running into that building. 343 firefighters. I remember exactly where I was at on that day. I was inspecting the Waco Fire Department. I remember the guys I was with. I remember the confusion we had. What should we do? Do you remember? Every year in the United States, we have we average 100 firefighter deaths. Every year, and that's been since 1977, 100 firefighter deaths. Texas contributes to that. Texas averages 2 firefighter line of duty deaths a year. Last year, it was 2 Houston firefighters was killed in a structure fire. In 2008, it's a very special year for me because I knew one of the 2 firefighters that was killed. His name was Chief Robert Knight. He was the volunteer fire chief of the Teague Fire Department. And I got to know Chief Wright when I was the chief in Mahia. The reason that touches me, and I remember all of those, is because that's part of my job. As part of the compliance program for the Commission on Fire Protection, we help the State Fire Marshal investigate line of duty deaths. So every one of them I remember. We have a saying in the fire service, and it goes like this: 200 years of tradition unimpeded by progress. What that really means is we're pretty hard-headed and we don't like to change. But in my 10 years with the Commission on Fire Protection, I've seen a lot of changes in the fire service, and it continues to change. The Commission on Fire Protection adopted national standards for protective clothing, which means that a firefighter's protective clothing gets inspected every year, and it's mandated that that clothing be cleaned, which makes it safer for the firefighter. They adopted national standards for self-contained breathing apparatus, and those standards say that that breathing apparatus is tested every year to a national standard. They also adopted national standards for breathing air. It requires that the air that goes into those self-contained breathing apparatus are tested 4 times a year, making it very safe for firefighters. They also adopted a standard that requires a PASS device, a personal alert safety system for the firefighters. That anytime a firefighter is going inside a structure to fight a fire, he has to have this PASS device on, and it has to be activated. and that would help other firefighters locate him if he got in trouble. Another requirement that the commission has passed in the last 10 years is the incident command system. It requires that every fire department in the state of Texas have an incident command system and use that incident command system. And that's on a national standard. And then last, one of the most important rules that they passed is the 2-in, 2-out rule. And that means that you have firefighters inside a structure fighting a fire, then you have to have at least 2 people outside ready to rescue those people if they get in trouble. So in my 10 years, I've seen a lot of improvements in safety for firefighters. Yet we're still killing firefighters. The past legislative session, some of the legislators recognized that things didn't seem to be getting much better, even though we're passing a lot of rules. So they came and asked, are we collecting data on firefighter injuries? And we said no. And they said, well, why not? I said, well, nobody ever told us to. So they told us to. So starting this year, every regulated fire department in the state of Texas has to report firefighter injuries to the Commission on Fire Protection. And we will put together a report that will go to the full commission that will make recommendations for improving firefighter safety. I hope that this brings about a reduction in injuries and a reduction in fatalities for firefighters. Just Monday of this week, the Firefighter Advisory Board sent forward a rule that would require every certified firefighter in the state of Texas to complete the Courage to Be Safe program. And that's sponsored by the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. Try to say that 3 times. Just another step in an effort to keep firefighters safe. So I hope as we gather here today, we remember those that have died in the line of duty, and that we honor their sacrifices by continuing to try to make a safe environment for them to complete their job. And in closing, I have a real personal and special message for the firefighters here today. That's this group out here, right? A few in the back. Guys, I'm retiring at the end of this year. No line of duty deaths this year. Be safe. Thank you, and God bless you.